Don't tell them I told you to call. This is the kind of book they sell there. I bought this there. In Search of the Christ Sophia. In Inclusive Christology for Liberating Christians. In a nutshell, what this book says is if you refer to the Book of Wisdom, you'll find out that wisdom is feminine. Therefore, somehow you can make Christ feminine, and you can have a feminine Christ if you would really like one. And then I bought this book, Thomas Berry and the New Cosmology. I even read these things, believe it or not. And this is nothing but pantheistic garbage, God part of the creation universe stuff. References to Father Matthew Fox, who promotes witchcraft, homosexuality, and lesbianism. If that is what remains of the Catholic Church, there isn't one. But that's not what remains, right? Because there are little twigs springing up all over the place of truth, like this church here. Now, there's a United Nations oath that goes along with being an ambassador to the United Nations. This is the oath that George Bush took in 1971. Most recently, Madeleine Albright took it. I solemnly swear to exercise in all loyalty, discretion, and conscience the functions entrusted to me as an international civil servant of the United Nations, to discharge these functions and regulate my conduct with the interest of the United Nations only in view, and not to seek or accept instructions in any regard to the performance of my duties from any government. Geez, I thought George Bush was American. Or other authority external to the United Nations organization. You remember we described what communism was. If an individual promotes, supports, or works for the values of communism, then you can be pretty sure you got a ringer. Now, I'm not saying that everybody knows that he's a communist. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There are a lot of people out there today working on little self-help books, self-help videos. They're just trying to get ahead in the world. They don't realize that God is not of the world. And there's no one left to tell them because when they go to church, they don't hear this. God the Spirit, the infinitely perfect Spirit, the all-just, all-holy, all-merciful, has been watered down to a cosmic human Christ who will not judge mankind and certainly will not condemn mankind. This is the religion of communism. And if they could promote mysticism, the New Age, or some other wacky thing to get people off track, and of course we know it's principalities and powers, right? Then Satan can just take more people to hell with him. Someone I know was on an airplane, and they were sitting next to an individual who was praying for much of the trip. As a matter of fact, she was a pro-lifer. She told my wife, she said, I thought, hey, this is okay. He's not talking to me, but he's praying. And that's good. I'm glad he's praying. She recognized he was praying. Finally, he stopped, and she made a comment to him about how great it was that he was praying. You know who he was praying to? Satan. There. Very top here. You can't read it very well. Let me have the print. And here he is meeting with the Dalai Lama. And this is nothing other than a general occultism. Okay, Tom. Now here he is, sitting on a par, at a synagogue, at a Jewish temple. I showed these last time I was here. These things have never been done before, have never been seen before. What is he doing? The Jews killed Christ. Can you read the Bible? So now you're going to go out and be buddy-buddy with B'nai B'rith? How can that be? How can that happen? Do you not understand all human Christian history? Okay, Tom. Now here he is, receiving the B'nai B'rith, March 22nd, 1984. And down below, here he is meeting with members of the Trilateral Commission. Steering Committee, all members of the Council on Foreign Relations, a bunch of Marxist hoodlums made up of people like Zbigniew Brzezinski and David Rockefeller, and CEOs. Henry Kissinger. It's quite a little gang. Here he is getting a little blessing from one of the adorers of Shiva, Bombay. Something is wrong. Do we not recognize something is wrong? I know all you do, but you know, you show these pictures to somebody outside a Novus Ordo church and they say, well, what's the problem? This is at a Buddhist temple. I'll give you the date, May 10th, 1984. Now, this man, Nelson Mandela, I have from a person who would know, is a 33rd degree Mason. Nelson Mandela is also a communist, and Nelson Mandela is absolutely annihilating anything that even remotely looks like Christian in South Africa. This ethnic cleansing that you're hearing about is Christian cleansing throughout the world. And as the Antichrist becomes more powerful, you're just simply going to see more and more and more of it. Now here, we have a picture of John Paul II hand in hand with the communist 33rd degree Mason, Nelson Mandela. Most all the blacks think that Nelson Mandela is the great black hope to South Africa. Here he is shaking hands with the communist Mikhail Gorbachev, who's also a Mason. Okay, this is a picture of Vladimir Lenin. This is the individual whose philosophy the United Nations supports. So says Secretary of the General Youthon. Now I have a book coming out called Unholy Alliances. It won't be in the bookstores, I can tell you right now. And I've got a number of quotes in there on the United Nations. The people who are hanging out at the United Nations are just simply, in a nutshell, one word, they're Luciferian. And I'm just sorry to report that, but that's just what it is. And so all of the people today who are promoting the United Nations and the concept of world government, whether they know it or whether they don't, whether they're doing it for money or whether they're doing it for power or for whatever reason they're doing it, they are promoting the philosophy and the religion of the Antichrist. Now here he is meeting with the World Council of Churches. Now the World Council of Churches was established by Freemasonry in this country to liberalize the fundamental Protestant churches. In other words, there was a time in this country when Protestant churches were conservative. You know, the idea of having an abortion was remote to Catholic or Protestant at the turn of this century. Everyone condemned it. The idea of having a divorce, the same thing. But no more. And it only shows the amount of brainwashing that they've done. How did they do it? TV, television, movies, videos, and the school system. How in the name of God can you teach sex education and not have kids want to do sex? How can you hand out condoms in a school and not have kids want to experiment using them? It's absolutely ludicrous. Where are rational? You don't have to be Catholic. You don't have to be Baptist. You don't have to be anything. You could be a doggone pagan atheist. And why can't you figure out that if your kid's in that school system, he's getting indoctrinated into a Baal cult? That's what it is. It's Baal worship. Do you understand?